friends, this is Michelle, and this is my channel, Penny's Daughter Shares, for Flosstube episode number 3. Today is Friday, October 1st, and I'm really excited to see you again. The first thing I want to start out with is I want to say thank you so much to all of you that have been spending time with me, watching my videos, and all of the wonderful, awesome comments that you're leaving me. It fills my heart with so much joy. It's like I can't even get the words out to say how good it makes me feel. And I wanted to say special thank you to, and I'm sorry, I wrote this down, so I'm gonna kind of read from my cue card here, but I didn't want to forget what I wanted to say. And when the video's running, it's easy to forget things. So I wanted to say a special thank you to those of you that reached out to me, in particular to share your experiences with the loss of your mom or your daughter or your dad. I carry those in my heart, and I feel honored that you feel I'm a safe place to share those stories with and attempt to feel the same pain that you do to help you. Obviously, I can relate to the loss of the mom, but for any of you that have lost children, I don't have words because my loss can't compare to that. But thank you for sharing with me and reaching out. And even if it was to let me know that there's others of you out there who go through those same struggles, thank you, and know that I'm always thinking about you. I also want to say, I guess, a few shout outs to fellow Flosstubers who talked about me in their videos, and it was so exciting, and I may have done a few happy dances as things came up. So the first one I want to talk about is Melanie. She's at MelyEllyStitches, and she has Instagram and Flosstube. And before I go any further, just so that you know, I've linked everyone down below in the description box. Anyway, Melanie is also in Michigan. And so we had commented back and forth a little bit before, and her most recent episode of Flosstube, she talked about me and lavished compliments on me. And it was really, really wonderful. The next one I want to talk about is Carolee of Stitching is Elementary. And again, I've got a link to her channel down below. And she's on Flosstube and Instagram. What is it about a video camera and losing track of your thoughts as you're talking? I am having a really hard time with that today, and I'm not sure why. I should feel more practiced at this point, I feel like. Anyway, back to Carolee. She talked about me in her latest episode of Flosstube also. Again, lavishing compliments on me that I can't even get the words out. So thank you, Melanie, and thank you, Carolee. I also want to say a special thank you to Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. Again, Flosstube and Instagram, linked below. She also shouted me out in her most recent Flosstube, and I appreciate it very much. And she lavished more compliments on me. I don't even know what to do with all of this stuff, except that I keep trying to just accept it and appreciate it, and not to try to downgrade it in my own mind, right? So thank you, all 3 of you, and everyone else who's been watching. I appreciate it so much. I'm looking forward to future episodes, and getting to know even more of you. So now let's dive into the stitching, and hopefully I can talk and not lose the train of my thoughts as I keep doing. I'm gonna start with a previous finish. And is everyone else fighting allergies still? Okay, I still am. I apologize ahead of time if I end up coughing. I'm also going to be taking sips of water, so hopefully that'll help me get through this, okay? So anyway, previous finishes. So this was actually a finish this year. It was my first finish and it's fully finished. And I'm gonna say this is the project that really brought me back into cross stitching and started my, I don't wanna say obsession, but maybe that's what it is. So I got Just Cross Stitch magazine in the mail and I fell in love with the cover and this design, which is called Nordic Knitting, and it's designed by Kathleen Burlew, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Kathleen. This episode of Just Cross Stitch is February 2021. So yeah, I fell in love with this design. And I like the colors, but they're not my kind of colors. I'm much more into lots of neutrals. And I think I told you before, my favorite color is green, hands down, always, always. So I chose my own colors and did my own color choices so that it went with my home. And what I love okay, and here it is. I think you can, all right. So and I finished it, you can see I finished it, I followed the instructions in the magazine. I just changed the colors, swapped out the red and the blue for green and black, and kept the gray, although it may be in different positions. But yeah, I finished this earlier this year. It is stitched 2/2 on, it's 28 count, and I'm gonna say it's natural or flax. It's honestly, it's a piece from, I'm gonna say I bought it at Joann's, I think, in the tube. What is that? Charles Craft, I think is the brand on it. And like I said, it's 28 count, and I think they call the color natural. Although to be honest, you can't see much of the fabric, so it didn't really matter what I stitched it on, I don't think. But I love how this turned out. I love the colors. These colors look like me, and I'm really enjoying that I actually fully finished it. So, and some of you may be thinking, well, that looks a lot like your flea market flowers finish. And you would be right. I did this one first, and it probably was a bit of something that was in the back of my mind when I chose my finish for flea market flowers. Since I had done that once, I thought I could do it again. So yeah, like I said, it's finished exactly the way it explained in the magazine. So all I did was change the fabric that they called for, and I substituted in my own colors. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say about the colors. When I made my color choices, I tried to keep with what I felt was still a Nordic feel while being true to the colors that I like the best. And I think I accomplished that. like I said, I'm really happy with it. So the next thing I want to do is talk about three more FFOs, fully finished objects. So that's another reason to say thank you. Thank you for listening to me and watching me and complimenting me and sending me comments about things. This is helping me be so motivated to do fully finishes. You've seen the stack of finishes I have, and I don't always make a priority to do the full finishes. So now I'm cranking my way through some of them, and it feels really good. So the first one I'm going to talk about is my friend stitch. I'm having a brain dead moment. It's our friend stitch. I think it's called Autumn Sampler, and it's what we did before we did the stitching and had the chart before friend stitch on September 18th. And then in our retreat pack was all the finishing for this piece. So it had a backer board and batting, and this cute little trim and this awesome board, which maybe you can see it. Okay, you can still see it. All right. Look how cute this board is. I just love it. But yeah, I think this turned out really good. Sure, there's some imperfections there. I'm really working on not being concerned, not trying to be perfect anymore. Let's have some progress and let's get some things done and put out. So I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I'm going to ignore any of the slight problem areas that there may be. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm going to cough. And the person I would say that inspires me most to not worry about the perfection of fully finishing and let's just get it done is Annie at The Proper Stitcher. And I'll link her down below also. She has a Flosstube. If you haven't seen her, check her out. But that's kind of her mantra is it's better to have it finished and out than it to be perfect. And I don't know how many of you out there are like me who has lived your whole life being a perfectionist. I am such a perfectionist. And I have worked on that, especially since I've been an adult, and for sure since I had 3 kids, because all of them are perfectionists too. So I'm trying really hard to work on it and make myself better, and hopefully be able to teach them how to manage it and not to think that everything has to be perfect. There's a whole lot of good enough that is great in the world. So thank you, Annie, for helping me feel inspired to not need the perfection and just get it done. So yeah, that's my little friend stitch autumn sampler. And I stitched this, it's 2/2 with the called for DMC colors on 32 count Witchelt copper penny. And so it's pretty green. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully it's showing up in the camera. All right, my next full finish is something that I actually stitched this in 2019. So I had picked up my cross stitching in 2019 or so, and I'm not sure what went on that I kind of set it aside again, but I did. And then I picked it up at the beginning of this year. So this is what it is. It was a little kit that I got. So the kit came with the floss, the fabric, and the little tart pan for the finish. And I'll call it a piece of adhesive foam that had adhesive on one side to use to fill this up and put this on. So here is my little black cat in the, see the tart pan. And so I put my initials on there, and you can't see it, but the date's underneath there. I didn't realize that that much of the stitching would get tucked in, but that's okay. I'm probably going to put a sticker or something on the back of this that labels the year. I'll label the year I stitched it, and then I'll label the year I finished it, just so that I can kind of remember that when I get it out each year at Halloween time. So yeah, and then I just put this piece of Halloween twine on it to hang it. And this really didn't take me that long to fully finish yesterday when I worked on it. Honestly, I'm not sure why I just kept putting it off. I think because I wanted to stitch, and it's more fun than finishing. Excuse me. Okay, so there's 2 finishes. I said I had 3 full finishes, and this one is, oh my gosh, I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited about it. And before I go any further, I just want to say that I didn't use any specific tutorials while I was doing these finishes exactly. There were finishing instructions for the friend stitch piece, so I followed those in our box. But I've watched other tutorials and other finishing ideas, and the one I wanted to mention is Vonna Pfeiffer, who we all know and has her awesome tutorial videos. And if you haven't seen them, go check them out, because she does all kinds of finishes and awesome work. So I want to mention that that's where I get my knowledge of being able to do some of these full finishes. And then I will talk about Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch again, because again, she talks about how she finishes things, how she sews, or what kind of details, and she's done some tutorials herself. So those 2 people have been especially helpful for me to learn things from. So all right, this awesome finish, oh my gosh, I'm really excited. All right, so here's what it is the Scarlet House Penny Pumpkin. I loved this one so much when I finished stitching it. So, and now I have a full finish, and I can put it out and look at it all the time. Oh my gosh, I can't even. It's so awesome. Like, I loved the chart anyway, but once I stitched it, I don't have words. I just love it so much. Okay, and here's the back. It's a piece of velvet. So when I got this, I got a kit from Country Sampler in Wisconsin, and it came with the velvet backing fabric, the fabric to stitch on, and all the floss to complete the project. I added the trim, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. So this is stitched on 2/2 on 28 count Ren from Picture This Plus. And basically it's all it called for floss colors. There were a couple of substitutions that kept to the, the designer's original intent. So let's see, I have it written down here. Weeks Dye Works mascara was used in place of Gentle Arts Black Licorice. So this is Weeks mascara. And then Gentle Arts Ruby Slipper. So like these berries, for example, and then it's around in a couple other places on here. That's Gentle Arts Ruby Slipper rather than the called for pomegranate. And then the other thing that changed, which I changed it myself, it called for Gentle Arts Pumpkin Patch. So, and it would be like the outside part of this, and then in the penny border here. And Pumpkin Patch was just a little too bright for me on this fabric and stuff. So I pulled out, I had Classic Colorworks Copper Penny. And so it was just a slight difference, but just enough I really like it. So those were the changes. And to finish this, I obviously made it into a pillow and I just stuffed it with polyfill. I added the trim, and I actually sewed the trim on when I sewed the pillow together. And let me show you the trim that I used, because I really like it. It's just a roll from Hobby Lobby. This is how it looks on the spool. And the other little detail that I did was, so this is like pom-pom trim, but it's flat. I don't know if you can. So I love it because of the penny border and the circles in it. I just think it is awesome with it. The other detail I want to show you, because I'm really proud of myself for figuring things out, right? So I got my pillow together and I turned it right side out. In the corners, I was not very happy because like a portion of one of the circles would be kind of stitched in the seam. And so the corners were either had like half a circle showing or no circle showing, and it was a big gap. And so I cut 4 little circles out of the trim, and then I just hand stitched them on the corner, connecting it to the trim. So it looked like a continuous piece. And it filled in the corners. And like I said, I'm working really hard on not being a perfectionist. And so at first I wanted to cry when those corners were like that, because I'm like, should I tear them out to try to fix them? And then I figured out a little way to make it better. So I'm really happy with that. So yep, that's my penny pumpkin. I could just hold this up here for you to see all day. But we'll move on, because I'm sure you're getting tired of looking at it. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about is some previous finishes. They're not fully finished yet, but they're kind of on my goal this week to possibly get them fully finished. We'll see what comes up. The first one is a Mill Hill kit. What's this one called? Happy Halloween. So if you're familiar, it's on perforated paper, and the beads and the floss and the perforated paper come in the kit. And I'm gonna need to get my board so that you can see it better. All those open holes there. Okay, there we go. So there's my finish. Can you see that date? Yep, stitched that in 2019. Still not fully finished. So yeah, I need to try to make that a priority this week. And I'm just gonna do like a flat finish. And I think put it like in a frame that has a clip in it. I think I have one that will work. So I'm just trying to keep it simple and be done. It doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, I like the colors. I think it's really fun. And this was the first Mill Hill kit I did with the beading. So I think that's pretty cool. The next one is another Mill Hill kit. And yes, we are back to my theme here of black cats. This one's called Moonstruck. Okay. Again, just as a reminder, Mill Hill kits come with the perforated paper. That's what I stitched on. The floss and all the beads and the extra button embellishment, right? So here's my completion. Again, I just need to fully finish it. I finished this earlier this year. So this was one of the first things I picked up probably after I finished Nordic knitting. And now it's just kind of sitting in a box. Ooh. So yeah, I need to finish it, or fully finish it, I should say. So yeah, I think that one's really, really cute too. I like the colors. The last one, I don't have a picture of it, but it's finished. It is from Doreen Jones. It's called Willabella Witch. And if you're familiar with Doreen, she has free charts that she puts out, I think every Friday. And if you find her on Facebook, you can find, she has all the charts there for you to, she also has an Etsy shop, so she also sells designs. So if you like this, you can find it. It's one of her free charts, and you're going to see I stitched this in 2019. I happened to find it and picked it up and stitched it. Is she so cute? So this is stitched 2/2. I'm pretty sure this is 28 count natural or flax. And it's probably just something I could have gotten at Joann's, I think. Nothing too fancy. And I used the called for DMC colors. And how am I going to finish her? I have no idea. Probably why she's not finished yet. But I think she is so cute. Like, I love her glasses. I don't know. She's just adorable. So yeah, so 3 previous finishes that I would like to get around to fully finishing. Maybe this week. Let's see how my week goes. So let's talk about whips. And I'm gonna say I really only have one whip so work in progress, that I showed you before, that I've been working on before, and that I'm still working on. This is all the trimmings stitch along with Fat Quarter Shop. I'm stitching it on, stitching it 2/2 on 32 count Witchelt copper penny. I'm using the Called For Weeks Dye Works flosses. I bought the thread pack from Fat Quarter Shop. And I'm finished through week 4. So next week is week 5, and will give us the top and the bottom borders, and then I'll be able to have a finish next week. I'm really excited about that. The trees are charted to be like this center one, which is dark green at the bottom, the lighter green in the middle, and then this is supposed to be one of the shades of gray in the chart. I wanted to mix it up a little bit and felt it needed a little something different. So I got DMC, this is metallic, and I'm not sure if it tells me the color. It must somewhere. It's silver, and I think it might just be called silver, because you can see it's pretty light. So what I did in the middle section here, the top section here, the bottom here, is I used one strand of the dark green, which is Hunter from Weeks Dye Works, and one strand of this metallic from DMC. So that gave me my 2 strands that I stitched with, and that's how I stitched these little sections. I don't know if I'm blowing that out if I hold it too close, but yeah, if you want to see a little better of a picture, you could go look at my Instagram. I posted it up on there. It may show the stitching a little bit better. But yeah, I think this is coming together really cute, and I'm excited to get a finish on it. And it's a fun stitch. It's not like, especially once you do like one part and you can kind of repeat the stitching. I like to do that on some things sometimes, right? So now I have 2 more whips to share, but they're actually new starts since I talked to you last. The first one, Little House Needleworks, October's Party. I'm stitching this with my friend Michelle, and it's so much fun to stitch. And I just drew a blank on what fabric I'm stitching it on, so I'm looking at that really quick so that I tell you the right thing. Yep, okay. So I'm stitching this on 40 count Fiber on a Whim brown sugar. And I'm using all the called for flosses. So there's my start and a little extra work. I think I worked on it a couple of different days since I talked to you last. I'm having a lot of fun stitching on it. I love this fabric. I love stitching on it. I love the color of it. So yeah, I really like that. The other thing I'm doing to personalize it a little bit, and I'm going to show you the chart one more time here. So you can see, let me make sure I'm pointing at the right thing. Yes, there's a capital P here on Professor. That will also get a treatment. I changed the colors. So that's going to be down here. And I apologize if I'm not pointing quite right. I'm looking at it backwards. Right down here is going to be the capital P. And I'm going to stitch that like I did the other extra letters there in Classic Colorworks Colonial Copper, which is one of the called for colors in this project anyway. But when I get that P done, you'll be able to see I'm doing P, E, N, N, Y. And I planned it out so that it was almost sort of spelled in order for my mom, because her birthday's in October, or was in October, and this poem reminded me of her. It was just, I don't know, like there's just something about it. And so, yeah, I wanted to add that little extra. And an extra fun part of that is using Classic Colorworks Colonial Copper. When I started stitching with it, it actually seems metallic, like a shiny new penny as I'm making these stitches. It's not, but it just seems like it. It was so cool to have that kind of glow on it. So I'm really excited and about it. I really like it. Like I said, I love the fabric, and I'm definitely going to be getting that back out and stitching on it some more. If I can put down this other new start. So this one is Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, Hilda Boo, and Sunflowers Too. And so I started this and worked on it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times since I saw you last. Here's what I have started. You can tell this was the last thing I was working on because it's still in the Q-snap. I didn't want to take it out because then I don't pick it up as quickly, right? Right now I can just pick this up in my project bag and start stitching again. I love this needle minder. It's from Fat Quarter Shop. And I think it matches this, so I think that's so fun. But yeah, and this color here is Classic Colorworks Blooming Crocus. And it's really, I love all the variegation in it. I'm stitching this 2/2 with the called for colors on 30 count Witch's Brew, which is like the plural, WITCHES, brew. And it was dyed by Southern Stitchers Co. And she has a shop. It's a website. I will make sure it's linked below in the description box, okay? So I have the names right. But yeah, I love this fabric. I love the color. It's way different for me. So that's what I've been working on. I think I've been pretty busy. And now I'm gonna clean up my table a little bit and come back with a couple other things. All right, so now I'm back and I'm just realizing these allergies are bothering me more than I expected. I don't know if my general demeanor is the same as it usually is. I'm feeling like maybe it's not. And I realized as I was reorganizing here and gathering a couple things, I'm not feeling that good today. So I hope this is still a fun video, and just know that's all it is. These darn allergies. Ugh. Okay, so normally we talk about our collection and any haul that we got to add to our collection. And when I was thinking about that, I decided that maybe I was going to have the smallest purchase ever shown on a Flosstube video. Because the only thing I could remember that I had was I ran to Michael's with the intention of buying multiple things. And I don't know if any of you are experiencing this at some of the craft shops, like their shelves are almost empty in some places. So I had this list and walked out, let's see, it was under $10. And my husband was with me, and I was teasing him that, you know, he needed to keep track of this, that this was such a small purchase. And of course he threw back at me that, well, yeah, but you order other stuff, which is true, right? So what I bought was 2 spools of anchor floss, a white and a black. The DMC metallic floss I just showed you, and I bought a second spool of it in a, I don't remember the color it said it was. It might say rose gold, but it's copper to me. Again, like a bright shiny penny. I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for yet, but I thought it was cool. So I grabbed it, and I bought some sewing needles because all this stuff I'm doing, and I have these great big honking needles. I don't even know where they came from. So I bought a little pack of hand sewing, like quilting needles, so that it's a little easier to actually do hand sewing without this great big huge needle. So yeah, that's all I bought. But then I got a package, was it yesterday? I can't remember. Yesterday or the day before. And I remembered that I had ordered something from Kohl's to use for full finishing. And I wanted to share it with you because I really like it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fit it in the video. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it sideways. All right, but it's gonna hang this way. It's 3 5x7 openings in there, and see how it looks like a tag at the top? I thought that was so cool. I have a couple of ideas for this, although I'm not sure yet. And I also plan on, I plan on removing the glass And then I'm going to use the magnet and washers that Priscilla and Chelsea have showed us how we can do, so that I can change this out. And so, like I said, I have a couple ideas, and I may make it so it's changed out seasonally. But you can see it is really, it's pretty tall, right? But I just thought, I really liked the shape of it, and I liked that it had 3 positions for projects to be on. So I don't have the world's smallest haul. I thought I might, but then I remembered that. And don't worry, I'm sure I'm making up for it with orders that I've made that I just have to wait to show up. We all know how it goes, right? So that was collection. Now I want to talk about a couple of my plans. So I already showed you my works in progress, and so I'm planning on finishing all the trimmings stitch along. And I'm going to work on October's party, and I'm going to work on Hilda Boo and Sunflowers too. If you remember from last time, I showed you that I have like a gazillion autumn and Halloween projects that I still want to do. So I did pick out some fabric for one, and so this one I am going to start this week. And it is 2 Pumpkins Bright from Hello from Liz Mathews. I love this. I have all the called for floss, although I'm going to try using Anchor's Black rather than the DMC 310, just to give it a try this time, because it calls for that. So what I'm going to stitch it on is 40 count Grandpa's sleeve from XJU Design. I think this is going to look, right? It's going to look awesome. Really awesome. So I'm really excited about that, and I want to get it started. So that's on my to-do list. And we'll see how far I can get with that. Then my other project that I want to get out and do, besides some full finishes again this week, because you're keeping me motivated, you're keeping me accountable here. I don't know if you've noticed my shirt, and at the beginning I mentioned today is October 1st, the start of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The first thing I want to say to you is a little, I'll call it a meme, but I don't know if I'm calling it the right thing, that I've seen, that I've shared in the past few years with my friends and family. And it is that mammograms save lives. I am the proof. So I am a breast cancer survivor, and I told you I'm not going to cry every video, so I'm not going to let myself get too choked up here. All right. But 2016, at the beginning of the year, I was diagnosed, and it was found on a mammogram, and never would have been found by anyone any other way. It was so small. But we caught it early, and the funny thing is, during that time when I was feeling really low and worrying, I never heard in more recent years how young I was so often. I kept hearing that, and I kind of didn't want to hear that anymore. So, so that March 16th, 2016 is my cancer-free date. I had a bilateral mastectomy, which was not the necessarily recommended treatment, but it was my decision and my husband's decision, because we made it together. I had, my oldest child was in 8th grade. My youngest child hadn't even gone into kindergarten yet. So she was not even 5 when I was diagnosed. So I wasn't messing around. And so I had surgery, and I'm gonna say I was lucky because that is all the treatment I had. I know it didn't need chemotherapy. It had not traveled anywhere besides my breast, and I didn't need radiation, and I didn't even need further additional medications and treatments that sometimes people go through because it had been so small. And this past summer, I went to see my oncologist for my annual check with her, and she gave me the words that I did not think I would ever hear. In fact, I think she said to me that I would probably never hear those words. She did say she almost never gets to say them, and she told me that I was cured. So that was wonderful, and she asked me if she could hug me, and of course, yes, you can hug me, and she hugged me for a really long time, and we both cried because I was so happy. And I didn't do anything then specifically, but I really want to celebrate this. I want to celebrate that I am more than 5 years out from my cancer-free date, and I've now been told I'm cured. But cure does not mean not to be vigilant. I will still be vigilant because I still need to watch, and I will continue to do that just to be safe, and I want to be here for my kids. So, but I can still celebrate being cured, right? So what I decided was I had seen it on Fat Quarter Shop for a while and decided that was going to be my celebration. So I ordered this kit, okay? And I'm going to look at my notes so that I say the right words. This is the kit for the 2020 Stitch Pink October Quilt Along. And it's from Moda. And they have blog posts, and you make a block each day for the month of October. And when you get done, you have a complete quilt. Using this kit, which like I said, I bought from Fat Quarter Shop, but I believe you can get it from other places. But I put the link down below for Fat Quarter Shop just because that's where I bought it. And I looked just this morning and they still have kits available. So if you would like to join me to celebrate, that would be wonderful. Or if you just want to follow along with me, that's totally fine too. But yeah, so I'm gonna do this. So I need to get this started. This is part of my plans. See, I get all emotional and it's hard to keep my train of thought straight. But this is my celebration. So when I ordered this, I also saw this awesome bag charm. I fell in love with it. And the other part that I wanted to share is when I was diagnosed, I had a friend who shared a saying with me that I hadn't been familiar with prior to this, and it was "fight like a girl." And that's what I did. I fought like a girl. So that's really been really important. And so I went to find myself some fabric that said "fight like a girl," and I found it. You can see it right here. And the other thing that is on this fabric, the word "cure." So I bought me a couple yards of that. I'm going to maybe use that in my quilt. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to work it in exactly or where, but the other thing I'm going to do is I bought I'm drawing a blank. What is this? A jelly roll, the junior jelly roll of the Grunge Pinks from BasicGrey and Moda. And my plan was to make a project bag, a scrappy or patchwork project bag out of the pinks. Use my awesome bag charm that I love, and I can incorporate this awesome fabric as a celebration and to remind myself always that it is a celebration now. So yeah, I have links down below. When I get better at videos and I'm able to put a picture up here, I will, of the quilt. But I put the links down below for the Moda blog posts that explain how to do each of the blocks. And I also included a link for the kit from Fat Quarter Shop. That's down below. You can also Google it and find it. So, like I said, if you'd like to join me, it'd be really wonderful. Or just following me along, that would be really great. But this is what I decided how I wanted to celebrate. And so that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm doing it with this month, even though it's from a year ago and I could just sit down and do the quilt. Well, it's not like I can just sit down and do it, right? It's gonna take some work, but I could go through it all. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna try to do one block a day. But that's gonna get me back into some quilting, I hope. And let's get a bag made this month too that I can use all the time. So, yep, I think that is everything I wanted to share with you this time. And I thought my video was gonna be shorter, but I get on here and I can talk, I guess. So before I start coughing again, because I've been talking so much, I just wanna say thank you again for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a really great week.